something within me, the something that's driven me on for 30 years, says no. There are some big surprises coming. And this cult is very vulnerable to people awakening to it, because its biggest source of power is, apart from human power being handed to it, is the fact that people aren't aware that it exists. But more and more people are becoming aware. But there's this transition that needs to take place where people cross the road. And that doesn't mean there has to be a violent revolution. There has to be a revolution of perception, because from that, everything else comes. We live within a field of potentiality, a field of energy, vibration, which is all possibility. Everything that exists in this reality is a frequency. Every thought is a frequency. Every emotion is a frequency. And so if you believe that you are little me and you have no power, then that frequency band that is generated by that perception of self will interact with the field, and you will create a feedback loop that will appear to you to be a self-fulfilling prophecy. You think you're little me, you have no power, you are experiencing a life of little me, I have no power. Not because it's true, but because you believe it is. And when you open your heart and you open your mind and you re-self-identify from I am are labels to I am all that is, has been, and ever can be, having a brief experience, then that your band of frequency explodes both in its breadth and scale and in its frequency, and you start interacting with the field of possibility and probability at that level. And this is why when people go through this awakening process, they start to find that amazing synchronicities start to happen in their life that didn't happen before. Coincidences and bits of luck and things just happening when you need them, or meeting people in strange circumstances. My God, fancy seeing you here. And people look back and they think, well, this wasn't happening before. No, because you were interacting with a narrow band of frequency with the field of possibility, and that's what you were experiencing. Now suddenly you started to awaken, you're interacting with the field in a completely different way, more expanded way, and now things that you can manifest in that feedback loop, fine detail, bits of luck, things happening just when you need them, meeting exactly the people you need to meet to expand your awakening, these suddenly start happening. They're not miracles. They're just that you are now interacting with the field at a completely different level. And so when you go through this process and you do what you know to be right, and you do what you know to be right, never mind consequences, you do what you know to be right, that very nature of what you're doing is expanding your consciousness and expanding your interaction with the field. And so the consequences that you might have feared don't manifest, because your interaction with the field is drawing to you what you need to achieve what you know to be right to happen. So we are creating our own reality all the time by our perception becoming our experience. It's why we need a revolution of perception. And this is why the cult works 24/7, controlling the information that we receive, and the excuse for an education system that we are told it is, when it's an indoctrination machine, a perception programming machine. They are working all the time to hold our perceptual state in a low vibrational, low awareness, low self-identity state, because they know that if they can control our perception, they can control our experience. And we can take that control back whenever we choose. And when we do, people are going to be shocked at how their life will change and how all the consequences they thought would happen don't actually happen.
Trying to look at the situation we're in and what to do about it, I still believe the best form of rebellion is non-compliance. I really do. People just need to open their businesses. They need to support people who are opening their businesses. Any of these fines and anything the government's giving them, challenge them, because none of them are lawful. And call these people out. Get them to prove their claims. And these are the questions we need to be asking. You people are actually our employees and you're all in abuse of office. That's the attitude that has to happen, folks. We could get out of this if enough people wake up. But I think a good thing for people to do at this time is to create some time capsules so that whatever does happen, whatever story they tell the people in the future, create a time capsule, put in some writing, put in maybe a USB stick, who knows whether they'll have electricity, but hey, put in a USB stick anyway with some information on it, and write notes, write a diary, write a journal, take photographs, and make a documented account of what's happening in your part of the world right now and over the next year or so. Write it all down, put it in a container and bury it somewhere. Put it inside the wall in your house, or put it somewhere so that, when they pull your house down 50 years from now or whatever, 100 years from now, they'll find this time capsule in there and someone might open it and read it and go, wow, so that's what happened back in 2021. Gee, the government and the education department told us all this stuff happened. Because, it kind of, at least it leaves an account for those who come after. Because when you look at history now, history is written by the winners, folks, and it always has been. But what about if we write our own history? What if we start writing time capsules and leaving these around the place and just letting those who come after know what actually happened and what the human race went through at this time? Because I can't see any way out of this apart from non-compliance. I really can't. Unless there's people that operate within the legal system and political system in our countries that are prepared to really do the groundwork and stand up and call this out for what it is and prosecute these people from within the system, then it's going to be up to us. What I can see working is people rediscovering their humanity and saying, you're just people. You're just people. We employ you to do things very differently to what you're doing. And I don't owe you any allegiance. I don't respect your authority. I can't respect your authority anymore because you're not operating within your authority anymore. You've abused that authority. You've abdicated your privilege to any form of government. You've abdicated your privilege to any respect. How can you possibly respect these people after what they've done? All of the rest of the government keeps that going. They keep the name suppressed. And it's going to continue as long as people comply. So stop complying. That's really the best way out. Stop complying and support people who are not complying. I can't see any way through this apart from that, folks. I don't own a credit card. I don't own a smartphone. I don't do any of that shit. I don't vote for them. I don't fill out their tax forms. I don't do any of that shit. And if everybody stopped doing that, what would they do? Nothing. There's nothing they could do because there's 7 billion of us. There's a handful of them, but we just continue to comply with our own slavery and we want someone to point the finger out without ever pointing it at ourselves. Stop complying with your own slavery, folks. That's the way out of this mess. And that's really the only way out of this mess. And that's been the message I've been bringing you for a really long time. It's all a puppet show, folks. The whole thing's a puppet show. We are the ones that we've been waiting for. And as soon as we realise that, well, perhaps we'll find a way out of this mess.